So here are 5 signs you're in a toxic cycle with a dismissive avoidant and why you can't just leave. I'm Jula, I'm the anxious secure coach, and I used to have an anxious attachment style. Now I'm securely attached, and I used to be stuck in this toxic cycle with my partner for a few years ago back in London. Now we're in a very secure relationship, and he's still leaning a little bit avoidant, but much more secure. I'm also sometimes anxious, but much more secure. And here are really signs that you are stuck in this anxious avoidant cycle with a dismissive avoidant, and mostly why you can't get out of this cycle. Let me take off my keys for this, because I just came back from a walk with Maya, as you can see. So let me take my notes so I don't forget anything. Number 1 is you are the one always reaching out, and then he's withdrawing. You are the one who is pursuing the dynamic, the interactions, the dates, the emotional chats, and then he goes cold, and maybe you over-explain things. So the more you kind of reach out to your partner, the further he goes cold, or he shuts down and kind of withdraws. And you know this. You do it anyways, though, because you can't help it. You have heard it online. You maybe even read books. You listen to podcasts. You scroll on social media, and you heard the more you chase, the more they withdraw, but you can't help it. So, and number 2, you're in this toxic cycle with a dismissive avoidant, and you're probably anxious attached, is his good days feel like this drug, because not all bad days, right? When he's warm and present and things are good and you have really good time and you spend good times together, and it feels really euphoric. Feels like, see, that's why everything is bad, and you're really like clinging onto those moments. But then when he pulls away, when he's again more distant, when he needs so much time for himself, when you're in a relationship, he probably shuts more down, or he only prioritizes work, his routine, his schedule. When you're dating, you probably don't even hear from him at all, or gives you like a thumbs up emoji only. And then everything crashes down on you. And that is this roller coaster. This isn't love, it's really attachment and it's trauma, and it keeps bonding you together and hooked on these highs. And this is really where you like, okay, you know what, not everything is bad. Number 3 now? Sign number 3, you're in this cycle, is you shrink yourself constantly. You monitor your tone, and mostly his tone, your partner's or her even, or their. And attachment styles are not based on gender. Your needs, his timing. So you've become very good at making yourself very small to not be rejected, to see, hey, what is my partner actually needing? So you've become so good at making yourself smaller so he doesn't pull away, that you've forgotten who you actually are. Because in the end, it's like, okay, maybe if I'm just a little bit more less emotional, a little bit more like how he wants me to act or be, then maybe, he stays, he likes me more, he gives me more reassurance. Okay, I need to let Maya out. She needs to go on the balcony. Go. Alrighty. Sign number 4, you're stuck in this anxious avoidance cycle, is every argument ends with you apologizing, even when it wasn't actually your fault. So you really play yourself down just as a way of fawning. So there's different ways in a relationship where you can keep yourself safe. Either you're going at the problem, talking it out, you have to figure this out now, or overthinking, or you're sweeping everything underneath the rug. You're avoiding the issue, and you're just trying to make peace with everything. So you kind of apologize first, even when it wasn't your fault, because the silence is unbearable for you. Rather than being wrong or trying to say, you know what, I actually need some kind of accountability here from you too. And I'm a big fan of, hey, you know what, I can apologize for my part in this, even if it's 1%, but I also need to see some kind of level of acknowledgement, accountability from the other part. Even if you're making the first step, your partner still has to move and see their part in this. If this never happens, it's a very bad cycle you're in. So you kind of try to fix it, play yourself down every time, and he lets you do this. And the last sign, I don't even know what sign I'm on now, if it's sign 5 or 6. So basically, when you have an anxious attachment style, you're thinking about leaving so many times that it really sends you into a spiral. And actually your brain can't tell the difference between imagining something and something happening real. Because if you, let's say, watch a horror movie, your heart rate goes up, right? Like for men, they're watching football and they're like so engaged into this. And for you, you're literally rehearsing the breakup so many times that you're actually in this state of fight or flight all the time. You're always dysregulated. So you're actually always not you're trying to prevent the worst thing from happening, but you're actually already making this happening every day for yourself. So that panic that is really felt in your relationship, your partner will feel it, you will feel it. And from this kind of intensity, you go at your partner, and then they withdraw more and they shut down more and then they get more defensive. And because, of course, this intensity feels not good for anyone, but especially for avoidant, they're grown up with feeling emotions are not safe, vulnerability is not safe, and intensity and pressure is not safe either. So that will make them really run. So you think right now, you being broken up with or left is really dangerous for your body, for your nervous system, for your emotional safety. So the cycle continues. Now this is the part I really want you to listen. So come closer to me. If you are multitasking, stop and pause and listen here. So I wish I would have known this years ago. And you are not weak. You're not doing this because, you're too emotional or there's something wrong with you. And you are still here because your nervous system has decided that losing him equals not surviving. Because as babies, we really needed this closeness from our parents and caregivers. But now, now we don't need this closeness from another person anymore. Yes, of course, we're humans and we need connections, but we don't need it to survive right now, not to that amount, because your brain has really confused this. That's basically your abandonment wound screaming. If I'm not close with my partner right now, emotionally, physically, I'm not going to be okay. I'm not going to survive this, basically. And it's not just a personality flaw, it's a pattern that is wired long before your partner came along. It has nothing to do with your partner, and just very little. He's just triggering that core wound created when you were probably not even a child, probably even a baby within the first few months, when you logically couldn't think what's happening here, when your parents maybe were inconsistent. You just felt that you had to watch what's happening for them, that you always felt, are they going to leave me? Are they not going to pay attention to me? Do I have to cry harder, or do I have to be a really good, well-behaved kid so I get the praise and the attention? So just leaving is not the answer, because everyone says just leave the avoidant, just run away, just find a secure partner. But that is not going to work, because every time you leave, you magnetically find another avoidant person, because you will carry this into the next relationship. Especially if you have not worked on your own wounds, you will always attract another inconsistent person who emotionally is going to abandon you, because you are abandoning yourself right now, and you've been kind of emotionally abandoned in your past, maybe even physically, maybe even your dad left. That is also possible. Until you rewire this, you change and shift into a secure attachment style. So that includes becoming more grounded. The emotional part is important. You need to learn to regulate your nervous system, to self-soothe instead of outsourcing your emotions to your partner. When he pulls away, to send yourself a signal that to sit in this discomfort, that you're okay, to build self-trust, that you don't have to take impulsive actions, that you learn tools and methods to just sit in there. And I teach this in really simple ways, in really micro moments, with just 90 second formula, because it's proven when you actually learn to sit with the feeling and to do that, it only takes 90 seconds for the emotion to be in your body and then to release it. However, if you reject the emotion, if you don't allow it to be there, if you don't sit with the feeling and do it the right way, if you're just spiraling over the thought, what happened, and if you reject the emotion, if you do other things wrong in that moment, that's when the anxiety spirals, that's when the trigger goes worse. You think about it for hours, and then eventually it can happen that this all turns into panic attacks. But it usually should not happen if you learn the tools how to do that. And there's other things involved. I teach, for example, in the Secure Woman Protocol. It's a massive workbook full of nearly 200 pages, journaling prompts in there. There again, smaller explanation of why this is happening in your relationship with your avoidant partner. It goes into like only a 4-step daily system you can do in the moment your partner pulls away. It's a little bit more distant, so you can rewire your anxious attachment to break this off and to shift more into a secure attachment style, because otherwise you won't leave. You will stay stuck in this anxious avoidant cycle, because it takes one to break the cycle. It doesn't take two. Yes, eventually your partner has to do the work as well. They have to also not shut down, not leave, and communicate and all of these things. However, it takes one to break the cycle, because if you are the one always coming with this intensity, like being so reactive and chasing and doing all of these things, you will trigger his wounds too. So if you create the security and safety within your body first, show up so much differently in your relationship, then you show up with inner security, and it can create a much different response in your partner too. And if your partner is not either willing or not capable to do this, and he doesn't shift, then you have your answer. But at least, first of all, you tried everything in your power to do to become your most secure version of yourself. Then you at least know you've done everything. Plus, by the time you're not clinging onto them for hope, for security, for your self-worth, feeling like you are not good enough, not lovable, you're broken when you're not in a relationship with him, you're actually capable to take care of yourself. And that will give you so much self-esteem and strength. And the other day someone told me, oh, I'm so afraid that if I do these steps, that I'm going to lose him and that I'm going to cut him off. And the thing is, when you apply this daily protocol, you're not cutting him off. You're not going to tell him, oh, you're going to only focus on you. No, you're going to start with baby steps of, let's say he's pulling away, he's ignoring you, or he's longer on his phone. You're just taking like 90 seconds, 5 minutes, or 2 minutes for yourself in that moment. You don't have to break up with him right away. You don't have to tell him you're going to go off on a weekend on your own. You're just simply taking 1 minute for yourself. You don't have to tell yourself that's it. Nothing drastic. You just have to learn to, hey, you know what? Before I reach out, before I ask him for reassurance, which will push him away over and over again if you do this, you just ask yourself for reassurance. You just ask yourself, hey, what do I need right now? So this is a simple step-by-step guide. If you want it, it's linked in the show notes or on YouTube in the description. And I hope this was helpful for you. Was there anything I wanted to say? No, that's it. In the next episode, I'm going to show you more about this anxious avoidance cycle, the exact steps that are actually happening in your mind, in your emotions, and how to break this more in detail. Otherwise, remember, change in your relationship starts with you, thought by thought, action by action, and now episode by episode. Lots of love, Jula. Bye-bye.